started from, which dealt with it. So I'll read it. The Bible says, in the same way, you wives, be submissive to your own husbands, so that even if any of them are disobedient to the word, they may be won without a word by behavior of their wives, as they observe your chaste and respectful behavior. 3.
Do not let your abandonment be merely outward, arranging the hair, wearing gold, or putting on fine apparel. Rather, let it be hidden, personal of the heart, with the incorruptible beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is very precious in the sight of God.
That's your one, okay?
You dropped one.
Okay, so what?
Hey, everybody.
Okay, so what? Pat, you read what? 4?
I read
5. You read 3.
3 and 4.
Okay, 5.
For in this way, in former times, the holy women also, provoking God, used to adorn themselves, being submissive to their own husbands. Just as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, and you have become her children if you do what is right without being frightened by any fear. You husbands in the same way.
And this is where we're at, guys. You husbands in the same way.
Live
We
with
talked
your,
about the women, so now we're talking about the men.
live with your wives in an understanding way, as with someone weaker, since she is a woman, and show her honor as a fellow heir of the grace of life, so that your prayers will not be hindered.
So guys, here's where we're at. He makes a statement, you husbands in the same way, live with your wives in an understanding way. As would someone what? As would someone what? Weaker. See, it's 1 Timothy 3, verses 7. And so watch this. And show her what? Honor.
Honor as a fellow heir
As a fellow heir.
of the grace of life.
So watch this. He's made the statement. So let's go back. I says, in your paper, flip over on the back side, your paper, the husband is to honor his wife as her weaker vessel, right? By nature, the wife is just more delicate and frail. So watch this. She's the weaker spouse, but weaker person. But guys, understand this. In her weakness, understand this. It is due to also her human nature. I don't know, they do some things here lately, but for the most part, that male is always stronger than that female. We agree?
Yes.
That male is always stronger. And then I said, and frail. What do you mean by frail? She's also a very emotional person. And so you have to understand that she's much more emotional than that male would be. So you got to understand that. She gets bothered by some of the littlest things. The child falls. Wall says, get up. She says, no, he needs to go to the hospital. But baby, it's just a little cut. But we need to take the child to the hospital because we need to make sure that there's no infections that have set in. So I watch this, and she's serious about it. She ain't just saying it. She's serious about trying to get that person or trying to get you to do what you need to do. So then,
throw some dirt on it.
yeah, that's us. Okay. And so watch this. What I want you to do is, when he makes the statement, and this is where Brother King stopped at. He says, look back at your text on 7. The last part of it says what? So
that your prayers will not be hindered.
what do you mean? What are you talking about? My prayers wouldn't be hindered. What are you talking about? My prayers wouldn't be hindered. He says, back at that text, your husbands in the same way, live with your wives in an understanding way, as with someone weaker, since she is a woman, and shows her honor as a fellow heir of the grace of life, so that your prayers will not be hindered. How do you mean? Hindered. Your prayers be hindered. I always thought the wife submits to the husband.
Yes, but the husband submits to Christ.
Yeah, but so why would according to the text says, prayers be hindered? What are you talking about?
Because he wouldn't be
It goes
following.
both ways.
Huh?
Playing it both ways and submit to each other.
Yeah, well, she's
I mean,
not,
I'm not saying the
yeah, he
husband
doesn't have to
has
submit to her,
the head. Right.
but she has to submit to him.
Okay.
He submits to Christ. So then help me. What is he talking about here? Because look at 3. Look at, pull your stuff, look at it. Verse, in my paper. My paper, I put it down, 3.
Failure to honor the wife hinders the prayers of the husband. God will not answer the prayers of any husband who dishonors his wife, no matter who he is or how much he professes Christ. What God hears is the sigh of the wife, not the prayers of a mean and domineering husband.
So what are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that my prayers then would be hindered? But, huh? So I'm struggling a little bit here because I believe that when that woman prays, she prays, and her prayers are then to go through her husband, and then they are to go to God. But we have here an issue where the woman is, what you looking for? Here's some paper. They need some.
Oh, we got enough?
There's 2 more. And they should have it. But here's my point. Then why would he make that statement?
Because if you don't honor her, then he won't honor your prayers.
Okay.
You're not following his word if you don't honor her.
The prayers will be hindered if you don't.
If you don't honor your wife.
So then it looks like then God's dealing with when Peter is bringing something to their attention, then what is going on in this text? Because I agree with you. So what's going on for Peter to bring this up? What's going on? I agree with you. But what's going on for this to be taken, for this to take place? What's going on with the people? Let's go back into what's going on with the people. They're doing what? Running for their lives. They don't remove that. So then they're all in a state of poverty. Nobody's rich. Nobody's rich. Everybody's on an equal playing field. So then what's going on now that they're on an equal playing field? So now what's going on since they're on an equal playing field?
They're all mixed up, and there's no, what's the word? Family units, I guess?
What?
There's no family units. They're like all mixed up now, and everyone's seeing everyone, different people. So they're not obeying or following what they've been taught.
Okay. So, and I agree.
But are you saying this is an instruction or are you saying this is a warning?
No,
I mean, because that's going to help us answer your question.
he's giving them instructions. And it is a warning, but he's giving them instructions.
So is he saying
Or
to
remind
prevent it? Is he giving them as a heads up, or is he giving them as I told you months before, don't do
You
this?
need to, yeah, I'm giving you, as I told you, this is what you should be doing.
So then obviously the opposite was happening. That the husbands were not treating the wives as heirs.
So you're right. So then, isn't it amazing when poverty kicks in? When we're talking about a whole lot of people kicking in. So where's the honor? Apparently you're not honoring your wife. So apparently we've got a problem in the house. So we bring it to their attention. Because it could be, what do you mean by honoring their spouse? What could be going on if they're not honoring their spouse? Then what could be going on if they're not honoring their spouse?
Adultery.
Come on, what do you say? Here we go.
Abuse, adultery.
Here we go. All these items could then be serviced. Why do I need to talk to you?
Neglect.
I saw you over there talking to that woman over there. Woman, get out of my face. All of these things should be taking its course because now you're in a surrounding. I tried to remember the New Orleans, what was that? tsunami, or what was that? When the flood, when what was that?
Katrina?
When that levee broke,
Yeah, Katrina.
Katrina. When that thing went to kaboom,
Katrina.
and where did everybody go? They ended up in a dome, remember?
Yeah.
They ended up in the Superdome. What you didn't hear, they tried to keep very much quiet as much as possible. What you didn't hear was theft. What you didn't hear was rape.
Right?
What you didn't hear these things that were going on. And some of it leaked out. Some of it leaked out that they were raping the women, and some of it were leaking out. So you got basically all kinds of people in there. Thugs that could care less about you. So now here you are battling or fighting for your wife's son. Some just too weak to do anything. And I'm not talking about physically weak. I'm talking about mentally weak, because you still should have did something to protect your wife. But you allow this big bully to come along, or where she's going to the restroom, he swoops on her and does her in. By the time you go back and find out, she's already been raped. So now she needs medical help. But now she's looking at you too as, where were you? There's no honor. And so what would you probably do? Oh my God, help us. Oh my God, help. And so watch this. He's telling you, where's your prayers aren't being, your prayers will not be answered. Why? Because there are some things God wants us to do, and He's asked of us to do. Maybe I'm wrong, but I heard Him say, husbands, did you see it? You husbands, in the same way, what does He say? In 7?
Live with your wife.
Live with your wife. Well, guess what? If I was living with my wife, if I was around my wife, some of these things may not have happened. I would have been able to protect her. But there's a possibility that you out wandering around. You know what I'm saying? That these are the things that are taking place. And so now Peter says, I really want to address an issue that really needs to come to the surface. Now you are going to pray to God when your heart isn't right. But you're going to pray to God when you know you've been looking at Susie over there. Because remember, if you're running for your lives, a lot of times you may not be able to carry something with you or some things with you. When you're running for your life, there could have been possibly things that get ripped or torn, where your wife now is not covered like she should be covered. But she's scared to death, but somebody else is over there looking at her strangely. Who? Watch this. You say, well, somebody, another bad man. No, why not be another husband? I mean, why not be another husband looking at her and saying, wow, wait a minute. I didn't know she was all that. You see what I'm saying? And watch this. Now you're praying, God, please help. When He says, your prayers have been hindered. Hindered means to be what? Hindered is to do what?
Stop.
Stop. Slow down. Stop with that. Stop to think about it. But I would deal more with stop. Your prayers have been stopped. Why would I want a prayer stopped when I really need you, God? Why would I want a prayer stopped? Well, no one stopped it but you. Heard that statement, God helps them who helps themselves? Heard that statement? Did you know that is a true statement? It is very true. Well, Lord, I wish you would turn the lights on. Then pay the bill. Huh? We go pay the bill. Watch this. The lights will come on. They don't need my help. They don't need nothing miraculously to turn them on. You need to go get a job so you can turn the lights back on. You are an able body. So go get, wait a minute, you don't want a McDonald's, but it'll get your lights on. Did you hear me? But it'll get your lights back on. So what are you calling me for when I've given you a way to do for yourself? I gave you your help so you can do something. That husband misses something, because Genesis, the 3rd chapter, the 17th verse said,
Third chapter what?
3rd chapter, I said, Genesis, the 3rd
15.
chapter. Really, it says, right, 17 is where it starts. It is 17.
Then Adam, right there, then to Adam, he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten from the tree about which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat from it. Cursed is the ground because of you.
Stop. Curse is the ground because of what?
Because of you.
Because of you. Wait a minute, but Eve, you hear what he said, because you listened to your wife.
To the voice of your wife.
Wait a minute, so since I've listened to the voice of my wife, and my wife is eating it, then why should I receive this? But he said, but because of you. Why? Because you wouldn't step up. You wouldn't stand up. You wouldn't do what I've asked you to do. I've made you, I've built you where you're a lot tougher than that wife. I built you. I've perfectly made this woman to be of the weaker vessel. I made her to be of the weaker vessel. Why are you trying to make her be the stronger vessel? Why you got her out there making decisions? Well, what do you think, baby? Whatever you say, baby, then we'll do it. You know, hold up, Brother Thompson, hold up. I really would want to help, but let me just go check it out with my wife and see what my wife has to say. Really? You can't man up? You can't make a decision? I've asked you to do some work for the church, but you got to go and ask your wife, well, you know, we want to make sure that there's peace. There will be no peace. You hear me? Even if your wife says, yes, you can do it, there will be no peace, because you have allowed her to put the pants on. You've allowed her to make a decision, and she is of the weaker vessel. You've allowed her to take on something that God did not allow, that God has not allowed to happen. Eve, she ate of this. Adam, you were there when this took place. Adam, all you had to do was what? Tell her what?
Not to do it.
Don't do it. Stay away from it. He said stay away from it. But what did you do? You'd rather make your wife happy. I'm going to make my wife happy. And in the process of making your wife happy, look what has just taken place. Sin comes into the count. Because you want to make your wife happy. You can't stand up and make the decision like you're supposed to as a man. It's not always decisions that we make will always have a happy ending to them. But you hear me? Men make decisions. She says, I disagree. Yeah, okay. But your decisions aren't built around emotions. They're not supposed to be. Your decisions are to be built around what the things that you see. You know this is best for the family. You know in the long run this will work itself out. Your decision is not built around emotions. Her decision would be built around emotions. Yours shouldn't be built around emotions, because you're not made that way and you shouldn't think that way. But what happens here? Look what happens. Because he's made that, allowed her to make this decision, it's caused a whole lot of hindrance. It's caused a whole lot of problems now. A whole lot of separation now. He's got to, now he can't even sit there in the field and work with Eve no more. He's got to work from the sweat of his brow. Eve can go in. She was right there beside him, but because you couldn't man up, now she can go wherever she disappears from you, and you still got to make this ground as hard as a rock. You got to some kind of way plow through it so that it will produce food. So you're going to sweat. By the way, the weather's not the same either, because he said from the sweat of your brow. So he's saying you're going to work extremely hard. So he's hit home. So when we speak of this hindrance, you see what something may be small, it's no big thing, and it turns out it is major. See how it turns out to be something major? Because God said it. And that's the way it should. We follow the instructions of God. God has the bigger picture. We don't have it. God knows what we're doing. And in this case, how big is this picture? This picture is so big that he said it would do what? Hinder his prayers. It will stop his prayers. Guys, when a prayer is stopped, that means no more communication with God. And who do you rely on? And that's something. So it's really big. And you don't even see it. So watch this. Look like he's attacking, look like he's jumping on that husband pretty much so now. Look like he's getting that husband to understand. See, you thought it was okay because you were talking about the wife, how she's got to submit even if you're disobedient. You thought, well, look at all this. She got to be careful how she dressed. Look at her. She got to watch this. She got to be careful with what how she does her hair. She got to be careful with all this stuff. Now look at you. Now look at you. Look at the things that you're doing. So now Peter is addressing the man on some issues that he too now has to deal with or has to man up and face. And because he's not doing it, it's stifling his, it's hindering his, it's preventing his ability to communicate with God. That's awesome if you ask me. You know who wants that? So watch this. Going back to your paper, it says, verse 3 says, failure to honor. See it in your paper?
Yeah.
Failure to honor.
The wife hinders the prayers of the husband. God will not answer the prayers of any husband who dishonors his wife, no matter who he is or how much he professes Christ. What God hears is the sigh of the wife, not the prayers of a mean and domineering husband.
So look what you got here. Look what you got here. You guys, they like that. See, they like that. But watch it. But look what you got here, guys. You not only have a God that's dissatisfied with you. Come on, say a little bit loud.
A wife.
You got a wife. You got a wife that don't want to be bothered with you either. You certainly have put yourself in the rut. Look, she don't want no parts of me. She don't want me bothered with me. So I'm going to pray to God and ask God, please work our relationship out. Please make it better. And he don't even hear you. What a mess you got on your hands. I got a wife that's driving me crazy now because what I didn't do. And I'm asking God to please work on the Lord. Help her, the Lord. And did you say something? Wait a minute. Did you say something? You said something. What was it you said? Because apparently what you said, you were addressing, let me get your God that you were addressing. Because you weren't addressing me. The God that you were serving was Satan. So let me get him so that he can hear what you're saying. Because God has plugged his ears. He's done, and your wife is slapping you all upside the back of the head behind what you've done. Probably some of it physical as well as mental. Because you've disappointed her. You've let her down. I pulled some scriptures so that you can see something. Psalm 66:18 on your paper says what?
If I regard iniquity in my heart, the Lord will hear me.
Reading that Isaiah?
But your iniquities have separated between you and your God, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear you.
Isn't that something? It's very serious. You see how serious that is? You don't want God to shut down on you. But in this case, God has done what? Shut down on you. So, what is he doing? He's showing the balance. Just like that woman who refuses to submit to her disobedient husband, and so it is with this man. When you don't honor that spouse, that is your queen. I don't care what this music is about today, how degrading it is to women today. You need to understand, there are some things that you don't even need to have in your house. That disgusting music, talking about how it degrades women. Watch this. When I'm out, I now be what? I am to now be aware that I have a queen, and not just anybody. This is my queen that I'm with. And I will treat her like a queen because she's going to treat me like a king. You got it? See how it balances itself out? And by the way, they're side by side. He's not behind her, she's not behind him. They're side by side. She's not in front of him or he in front of her. They're side by side. Honor then is pretty important in the eyesight of God. Honor is very important. Honor her. Because, watch this, because she honored you when you weren't working for her. But she honored you. See that? So guys, watch this. Let's travel. Now we can travel some more. He says, go back to your Bible, 8. Eight says what?
To sum up, all of you be harmonious, sympathetic, brotherly, kind-hearted, and humble in spirit.
Guys, let's look at some words. Let's talk about these words. He said that you be harmonious.
Harmonious.
So what is harmonious?
Of one mind.
Of one mind. So then, pull your paper. That's why I said that. So what does it say? Believers must be what? Harmonious.
Keep your
So,
mind upon being just like Jesus, upon being conformed to the image of Christ.
so,
Word.
I don't know where she at, but go ahead. Up top it says, believers must be of one mind. See it?
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, I skipped down to
Yeah,
7.
go ahead. It says what?
Believers must be of one mind, homo.
I'm gonna be something like
Oh.
this, like.
The word means to be like-minded, to be of the same mind. Believers must keep their minds on the same things. They must focus their minds upon Jesus Christ and his mission.
So let me ask you something. When you come together and you marry, you separate from one another? Or do you become harmonious? Think about it. You come together, you come together, you be harmonious. So then if you're harmonious, then what is he saying? Then you be like
One.
one mind.
One mind.
Well, watch this. Because after all, he said something concerning the marriage. He says, what I put together. He says, watch this. You are to become one. So we have a tendency of thinking when we talk about consummating the marriage, we look at it from a relationship side. But he's also talking about a harmonious side. You are working to become one. So, how do I work to become one? Well, who's the main person in a relationship? God. So what I do then is I work and she works and we both work to please God.
Amen.
In the meantime, if we're pleasing God, then there will be a relationship that, watch this, that God has put together with a stickum glue, and it can't be pulled apart. And he says, let no man pull it apart. No man can pull apart what God has put together. But the key is, let God put it together. When God, how do I let God put it together? When we become one-minded. When we become one-minded. See, there's a lot of things we can think different about in the marriage. But when it comes to Christ, let us be of the same mind. Don't you understand? If we're of the same mind, there will be never a relationship issue concerning the marriage because we understand what our marital duties are. We understand what we are to be doing for one another. Watch this. We understand what it means to compromise. We also understand what it means that marriage is not a job. Marriage is a relationship. I state that because a lot of people turn their marriage into a job.
Yeah.
See, I have to do this. What'd you say?
I gotta work hard at it.
I gotta go in there and cook.
Right.
But you hear what I'm saying? You don't have to,
More clean.
but what you are clean. But you don't have to, but what did you do?
It's cool.
You turned the marriage into a job, but how did you do this? Because you allowed God out of the picture. And you allowed what you said, well, I've got to meet the duties of what because guess what? Because I'm a Christian woman, I'm a Christian man, so I know what God says I am to do. So what I'm going to do is what God tells me to do. And God told me that I need to be a chase keeper. God told me that I'm the one that needs to cook. God told me I need to keep the house clean. So let me go on in there and do it. Really?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Really? And what did you do? You just turned the relationship into a job. It's a work. And believe me, something so minor becomes something so big. And after a while, it destroys a relationship. Because it's a job. Guess what?
Yeah, oftentimes we use the scripture, God loves a cheerful giver. That's not only applicable to giving financially, but that's given in a relationship as well.
That's right. I like that, okay. And that's exactly what that is.
Well, so both people have to give, obviously, for, if it's one-sided, that's going to cause a problem.
But I'm going to comment you on this. But here's the point. So then, if that's the case, then it's time for me to move on.
Not necessarily.
Then that's my point. Because now we're back into the woman's side. He says, even if he is disobedient. So it's not built around what someone does. It's built around what you do with the understanding of what God has told you to do. What do you mean? God told you to love your husbands. Watch this. We see it in Peter right there. We also see it in Titus, the 2nd chapter. He says, older women, teach the younger women to what? To love their husbands. That is built around not, well, if they treat me, if they take care, it's built around, he says that is a command. You love that man. But watch this, here's your problem. You may not know how to love a man that's not treating you right. So here's where the problem lies. What you then need is help. So guess what? That's where my senior seasoned sister is supposed to be now working with that young lady who's involved in a marriage that don't understand. And as far as she's been taught, you don't have to put up with that. She's been taught, you know what, girl, look, if he ain't gonna do that, then why are you in there cooking? Forget him. You don't have to be around him. You don't have to put up with that. And it may be the one that's been after your husband for 400 years that not be talking to you about that. But you went hook, line, and sinker because once again, marriage is not a 50-50. A marriage is a 100-100. What do you mean? Even if she doesn't do, you do. That's what the marriage is about. You watch this. You notice that the light bulb is out. You brought it to his attention. That lazy rascal still won't change that light bulb. But watch this. But you got this great invention called a ladder. Did you hear me? And so you let her out. You go up there and guess what? You've seen it before to twist it. You twist it right on out. You put that light bulb in there. You say, but then I'm doing his job. No, you were the one that seemed to bother. That it probably didn't bother him, the light bulb. But it bothered the dickens out of you. So then what are you going to do? You do it. And then what do you do when you pray for him? You pray that God opens that lazy rascal's eyes up so that he will fix or repair the next time. Did you hear me? That's how you do it. So watch this. Back to, because we won't get into the women. But back on this, that's harmonious. He says then there's another word. Look at your Bible. Then there's another word. What's the other word that he uses?
Sympathetic.
He says sympathetic. You know what sympathetic is, right? Talk to me, what is sympathetic?
Having mercy, feeling sorry,
Having pity.
pity or mercy.
Okay, so you
And
got having pity.
to pardon.
Okay, to pardon. Okay.
Understanding,
It's pity.
Who? I didn't hear it.
understanding.
Okay, sympathetic, what do you mean to understand, okay. And so watch this, so if we got an understanding, so think about it. You're understanding what?
Someone else's
The
situation or
situation.
condition or.
Right. But what if the situation that you understand, really, it doesn't require you? Well, why? You know, this is ridiculous. I'm to be sympathetic over this? Really? Come on, yes.
What she's referring to, there's a fine line between sympathetic and empathy, and which when you're understanding, that's of a person's position or needs, that's being empathetic. But having pity and sorrow, all that is sympathy.
Now you're sympathetic.
Yes.
So now, it doesn't matter then what I understand. It's I am having sympathy.
You relate.
Right. So I'm going to now, no matter what, I am going to work, because sympathetic is one thing. It also requires an action. I see this, and so let me work with her, or let me see what I can do. She's crying because the flower died. Did you hear me? She's crying because the flower died. And so what I do is I see it and I said, baby, what's wrong? Well, the flower died. Oh, please, go get another flower. Don't worry about it. Look, it's my bag. I'll bring you another flower tomorrow. Don't worry about the flower.
She like that.
So then what would be my next move from a sympathetic point of view? Stop and think about it. What would be my next move from a sympathetic point of view?
I understand.
What'd you say?
I understand.
See how it is? And you're right. What can we do? Well, I'll tell you what we can do. We need to go ahead and take this one out. Now, watch this. Don't be sarcastic. Be sympathetic. There's a difference now. Well, let's take the thing out and let's go ahead and give it a burial. Now you're being sarcastic. Now you're being funny. But sympathetic is, wow, you're right, it did die. Let me go ahead and let's take this out. You know what, as a matter of fact, if the store is open, why don't we just run down there and we'll go ahead and get another one. Or watch this. Yeah, I'm sorry that, you're right, it did die. Doggone it, we should have taken care of that. Or doggone it, I should have taken care of that. I'm sorry that the plant died. So now watch this, it requires an action. My action was what? I admitted I'm sorry. I admitted what took place, but I am also going to replace it. So now I stop off on the way home. I'm not the man on the selling roses down the street. Okay.
Flower shop.
Yeah, but I go and now I replace it. Now I'm very sympathetic. I am aware of what's going on, and I am realizing that you need help. And so I want to see how I can help you. Somebody else is very sympathetic to us. God. Think about it. I realize what state you're in. I'm sending my son. What's the next one?
Compassionate.
Brotherly.
What is brotherly?
When I say compassionate,
That's exactly what it is. So what brotherly says, it means what? You there. It means compassion. That's exactly what it means. So I am very compassionate. So guys, what I'm going to do is flip your page. Flip your page. You should see, so that you have these words. You don't have to worry about it. I've already got them laid out for you. I've got the word compassion, sympathetic. Means sympathy, to actually feel with others. It means to feel for others so much that one suffers with those who suffers, one weeps with those who weep. One rejoices when others are honored. One understands the pressure that a leader is under when he leads. Guys, if you were to look at this, where do you think I pulled some of those thoughts from? There's a Bible, there is a book in the Bible that brings these to our attention. Now, it's not Psalms. It starts with an E.
Ecclesiastes.
That's it. Where it starts from. Ecclesiastes. He makes it clear as a bell. He says there will come a day. Remember? He brings it clear as a bell. When you suffer, I suffer. When you weep, I weep. When you cry, I cry. So there comes a time. So watch this. But this one didn't come. One understands the pressure that a leader is under when he has to lead. Watch this. Sympathetic, for some reason or another, this one I threw out. One understands the pressure that a leader is under when he has to lead. Because the leader may even in his leading may end up not the way it was supposed to be. So he needs sympathy. So he needs sympathy. My intentions were well. They just didn't come out the way I wanted to come out. So man, am I under the gun behind a decision that was made that didn't come out? Ever been in one of them? You made a decision and it didn't come out the way you wanted to? And I used to call it, you got mud in your face. Now you got to answer. Behind it, you got to live with it. You got to be accountable. You got to be responsible. But you need sympathy. But you need some sympathy. Watch this. I says, one hurts with those who criticize and attack. One grieves with sorrow of others. Unity cannot exist unless believers feel compassion and sympathy for one another. That's the only time you get any unity. By the way, I'm talking about a husband and a wife because this is what he's leaning to.
Right.
He's leaning to when things aren't always right with you. Have sympathy with someone else. It's okay. So then watch this. Then you said brotherly, right? You see it? So I got your definition for brotherly. You got it? You got it flipped over and around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got an extra paper?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, Peter uses the term Philadelphia.
Peter used the term Philadelphia, translated here as brotherly. The first part of the word stems from the verb
Philo,
to love, and refers to affection among people who are closely related in some way. Those who demonstrate that affection will do so by unselfish service for one another.
did you see? So then his brotherly is what our Greek word we call phileo. So now you've got phileo that has come in. It's a brotherly love. It is a compassionate or having compassion for someone else or for one another. In this case, it's called a brotherly love. It's not agape, but it's a phileo. It is a brotherly love. I have a love for you. I'm willing to help you. It's that kind of love that he's talking about. So now, he said, yours said what? Compassion? Carla, yours said compassion. Is it what it said for brotherly love? For brotherly? So then watch this. Now you see the difference. It is a love, but it refers to the passion among people who are closely related in some way. Yes, Brother King.
Brotherly love also means that as brothers, and I have two of them, we don't always agree about things.
I like that.
However, but when it came from someone else from the outside, you bothered one, you bothered all of us. We have that connection that we are to stick together.
I love that. Abraham, Do y'all remember Abraham? Do you remember the man that was with him?
Aaron.
Lot.
Lot. There was a man named Lot that was with him. Do you all remember when something happened to Lot? Remember something happened to Lot? What happened to Lot?
Captured.
He was captured. Remember? He was captured. But watch this. Didn't Abraham, when he started off, didn't he tell him, if you go to the south, then I'll go to the west. If you go to the north, then I'll go to the east. Didn't he give him the opportunity to select what he wanted?
Yeah.
And watch this. And what did Lot choose? The best. He went after the best. Now, Abraham could have easily said, you know what, I hear you, but no, I think I want to go there. But Abraham said, it's okay, this is where you want to go, then so be it. Then God talks to Abraham and let him know that you're still the father of everything. Everything is going to be all right. But watch this. Then there's that war that goes on. And Lot gets captured. When Lot gets captured, who's the first one to go out to pack up and say, let's roll? Isn't that something? Abraham said it's time to roll. I don't care, watch this, I don't care how you may have seen or what you saw ahead of time. It doesn't matter. What matters right now is, hey, like Brother King said, my brother in this case has been captured. It ain't nothing to talk about. It's time to crank up. I call that a lot of times, I've said it's old school. I've said old school. You know what I'm talking about now, Brother King. I said when your partner was out and he did something, you know what I'm talking about, and it wasn't right, but it's your partner. It ain't nothing to talk about. Am I right? It ain't nothing to talk about. It's time to roll. It's time to go take care of business. It's the same way in this case, like you said, Brother King, we could also be talking about brothers, your physical brothers. Something went down with Wayne, it wasn't nothing to talk about. Let's go. It ain't nothing to talk about. I got some beatings because I said, little bruh, they just jumped on him. They won't jump on him no more. I got this. Pops said, you go out. You don't know. He said, don't go out, because if you go out, boy, I'll take care of you. You better not leave. You know that stern, you better not leave. I say, you injured my brother. Don't work that way. I say, when to go up, I say, go out. I say, let window down, I said, let me go take care of business. It gets out. Did you know Warren is down there fighting? Did you hear me? Pops comes down. Pops said, didn't I tell you not to go nowhere? In front of everybody. And I take the whooping while I'm walking back. But you know what? I said, it's okay. It's a justifiable beating. I'll take that beating. Go ahead and hit me. Go ahead. You ain't going to get no tears out of me, not this time. So go ahead and hit me as hard as you want. It doesn't matter because he bothered my brother. And so it doesn't matter. Go ahead and do what you got to do. But guess what? You can send him to the hospital because I took care of that. He won't bother my brother no more. I didn't understand it at first, but now I do. Brotherly love. Yes, Brother King.
I have one question. How do they know how to grab that belt? Well, they just snap
Come on,
it.
Brother King. Come on. Come on, Brother King. It's in their pants. Yes, in their pants and everything. Okay, and it just comes out just as smooth.
They just press a little switch.
What I should have said was Dad. What I should have said was Dad. How did you do that? But you're right. But that's your brotherly love, looking out for one another, even in the church. Learning to look out for one another.
Especially in the church.
Yes, always providing for your brother. Quit looking at your brother like he's just someone that's a member of the church. He is your brother. He's closer than your fleshly brother. He's your spiritual brother. What'd you say? That's right. So stop looking at it that way. We should always look out for one another, to protect one another. So guys, watch this. I want you to go on. He got another word. He says what?
Kind-hearted.
Kind-hearted, guys. So watch this. It says what? It's the root word or what?
The suggestion that you know.
What?
You gave it a shot.
Okay.
The root of which refers to one's internal organs and is sometimes translated bowels or intestines. Affections and emotions have an impact, hence this word signifies a powerful kind of feeling.
So guys, why? He says you to be what? What kind of kind-hearted? You to be what kind of way? It's a deep, it's a deep root. It is a deep rooted. It is to the point of you're kind-hearted that you what he feels you feel. It's there. So watch this. What she feels, because I told you that's what they're talking about. What she feels, you feel.
Especially during pregnancy.
Huh?
Especially during pregnancy.
Yeah, what she feels, you feel. It's a deep hearted. Way deep. So now watch this. I don't want to get stuck. So watch this. He says what? And I know you know this one. So your last
The
one.
next one,
Yeah.
humble in spirit,
So you got humble in spirit.
is actually one word in the Greek.
Keep going.
Oh, keep going. Oh, humble-minded. I thought you said Pat.
I was on syllable. I said, so that you could say it.
Oh,
That's okay.
I wasn't even gonna try.
Go ahead.
Humble-minded. Humility is arguable the most essential, all-encompassing virtue of the Christian life.
So what is that then? Humble in spirit? Someone who does what?
Is humility and encompassing.
And so I know humility. So what does it mean? Someone that's willing to
Put others.
empty themselves. Someone is willing to empty themselves. It's no longer about you. And so watch this. He says, humble in spirit. Someone who has emptied themselves spiritually. They really have that humility to reach out and help someone. That's someone that's really humble. Watch this. When somebody has to tell you they humble,
Being humble.
okay? We have to be careful with that. Well, I just want you to know I'm a humble person. Really? You're not too humble because I guess you keep reminding yourself to be humble.
Right.
Is that why you say it? Because someone that's humble will not have to tell you they're humble. They will show you that they're humble. It will present itself. You'll automatically know that is a humble individual. That's someone that really cares about the church. By the way, the church is not a building. The church of people.
Amen.
So someone who really cares about other people. This is what he's talking about. So then what are you talking about? I told you, but he's connecting this all with husbands to do what? To love their wives. This is all pertaining to that man. That's what he's supposed to be doing. I told you, you thought that we was hard on the women. Look what he's saying. Because when you take all of these things, then you have to do this. Why would you make that statement? Apparently it is an opposite of what you are doing. Apparently it is an opposite of what you're doing. So, what are you doing? I'm bringing it to your attention because you have ran out of fear. You probably took off and left your spouse because you were so busy worried about your life. Because you were running, you didn't want those Roman soldiers to get you. So you were running, you walked off. You are the protector, you are the provider, and you way up here talking about, come on, girl. Lord have mercy. You are the one that probably when you got in the camp where there's thousands of people, you are the one that always looked at Susie and now I can have a chance to go get Susie. We're all on the same plane now. We're no longer the rich and the poor. We're all the same now. You may have left in an Armani suit, but that rascal is old now. That rascal is ripped now. Because you've been running for your life now. So we're all on the same playing fields. You don't understand because of your arrogance. Your arrogance that said you do what you want to do. But now you're in a situation where you've got to now meet all of these requirements. That's a different ball game. It's so hard to make a transition. And you call yourself a Christian. But it's so hard to make this transition. Because now you get a wake-up call of who you are. You find out really you're not someone that's humble. You find out really that you're not someone that's kind-hearted, that's brotherly, that's sympathetic, and that's harmonious. You find out really that's not your makeup. Sometimes the trials and tribulations, tragedies have to come in our lives to get us to understand who we are. To get us to understand you got a loving wife, but you don't appreciate her. Because you're too busy stuck on whatever it is that you have. A lot of times men get hung up on their work, their jobs. And the job starts to make the man, not the man make the job. Heard this? Baby, I'll be home, but I gotta stay just a little bit longer. And nobody's telling you to stay, but you say, I gotta stay a little bit longer. I need to finish this project. Where's your sympathy? All of a sudden you get home, and the macaroni that was hot,
Cold and hard.
it's cold now. Did you hear me? It's cold now. Because you had no sympathy. You weren't kind-hearted. You thought what I need to do is make sure that we have an income. Maybe your price for living is way too high. Maybe you need to lower it so that you can appreciate some of the simple things in life. Well, I see that one's got everybody quiet, so let me roll on. He says, watch this. 9 says what?
Do not repay evil with evil, or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing, because to this you were called so that you may inherit a blessing.
So guys, watch this. Your paper says not return evil, right?
Right.
See it, your paper?
Mm-hmm.
Not return evil with what?
Now returning evil for evil begins with an imperative present participle expressing a negative command, which can also mean stop returning.
Stop. It's in our text. Right? It's in your text. You just read it. Is that why all this stuff was written? It's in your text. Is that why all this stuff was written? Well, you know how she treats me. So you return evil with evil? Something to think about. Is this what has taken place? But I don't understand. I'm struggling, Brother King, because last time I checked, they were running for their lives. Last time I checked, they were in trials and tribulations. Last time that I checked, they were in locations where they didn't want to be. Last time I checked, I thought when you run and don't have nothing, you really start to come to your senses and realize what you don't have. So how in the world do I repay evil with evil?
Is that a check for attack?
Yep.
What it is. So watch this. Go back to your Bibles. Look at 1 Peter. Go back in the 3rd chapter. Look at verse 1. It said what?
Likewise, be submissive to your own husbands, that even if some do not obey the word, they without a word may be won by the conduct.
So
of
what
their
in the world is going on? Could she have been evil? Could she have done something that was evil? And you turn around and did what?
Evil.
It's
Bad.
payday.
Yep.
It's vengeance time. I know you're having a problem with that joker. I know you need my help. But you was big and bad. Let's see you work it out now. That's a sad situation. It's a situation that Peter's got to bring to their attention. You are doing what? You are repaying evil. So there was an evil, something that was done that you didn't agree with, and your return is to get her back. Isn't that something? So Peter, then you had to know what was going on in so many words to count. Something's going on in the camp, so you've got to address this issue. And you went after the source that started the issue, and then you made it clear as a bell, but you don't walk either. Because you were just as wrong by trying to repay evil with evil. It don't work that way. You gotta stop it. Sound like some immature people. It really does, doesn't it? Or it sounds like some people that have had a rough time, a hard time. Their lifestyle has been a major transition that has taken place, and so their immaturity that we would call has now come forward. But is it immaturity or is it arrogance? You got it. Think about it. Because really, is it immaturity or is it arrogance? I've had everything my way, and now I don't get it. Arrogance will interfere, and if you don't watch it, you call it immaturity, and you're just arrogant. And God has to reduce you, bring you down so that you'll learn how to become humble, so that you'll learn how to live with one another, so that you'll learn how to respect one another. Because in those days, that woman was of great value, right? Wrong. Wrong. No, she wasn't. She was like what, Brother King, in those days?
Slaves?
You better know it. She had woman's rights, right?
Nope.
Isn't that something? She could eat with the man, right?
Nope.
He's dealing with some issues. He's dealing with some issues. He's bringing them to the table so that that man would now understand. So then he goes on, and now we're going to deal with some other stuff. He says, I heard you say, mine says insult for insult, meaning an abusive railing against cursing. Did you see it? Look at your paper. You should have saw it. It should be on close to your last page.
Page 5.
You see it?
Yep.
It should be abusive railing against cursing. Folks cussing one another out. That's what happens when things take place. Speaking evil. Someone is the root. Someone and is the root of the word translated rebel. See that? Or revive. Look at it. To engage in such vengeance. Come on. Unacceptable
Acceptable response for
for
believers.
believers. Then you said, because you were reading verse 9, it says, not return evil for evil or insult for insult, but giving a blessing instead, for you were called for the very purpose that you might inherit a blessing. So what are you talking about blessing here? Look, the term, you see it, it's on your paper. The term,
Blessing is the word from which the English word eulogy derives. Eulogy. It means to praise or speak well of others.
it means to what?
Praise and speak well of.
And speak well of others. So, he said, something's going on. Your Bible says that they might inherit inherit a blessing. And we have a tendency every time we look at a blessing, we think of eternal life. But in this case, he's talking about the idea of learning how to properly speak well of someone, even though they just cussed you out. Did you hear me? Even though they just said something that was very evil to you. You as a child of God are searching for something pleasant. You are a child of God saying, what I need to do is find a solution where I can deliver them back to God. I told you that one is powerful. That old disobedient husband, bless him. That old disobedient husband, bless him. Huh? Even though he say something horrible, he just cursed me. Bless him. Find it in your heart to turn this thing around. Yes.
I was just thinking, I'm trying to see how I say it in the right way. Sometimes you may be in a situation that is negative, but in your mind, if you always keep thinking of those negative things, if you keep harping on those negative things, it just seems like it's just going to stay negative. But when you set your mind on positive, and it kind of helps you to start improving the situation, because then what you think in your mind, your actions is going to follow it. And you may if you think positive, then positive things will happen.
Okay. Anyone else?
I've found that to be the case too. There have been times in the past when somebody did me wrong, I thought, and your immediate response is to find a way to stick it to him, like he's the
Vengeance.
vengeance, right? That's true. But I had gotten to the point where it just consumed all of my thoughts.
Right.
I couldn't concentrate at work because I was thinking, how can I get him back for what he did to me, to let him know how he's hurt me. And so one morning I just woke up and decided I wasn't going to hate anymore. And that's when things started going better for me too. I found a better job and I moved and just things just started changing. All I had to do was just let it go.
Had a mosquito bite before? You had a mosquito bite before?
Yeah.
And it hit something terrible?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Scratches.
You scratched it. And then what did you do when you kept scratching?
Yeah.
It did what? It produced, it festered. So it started to produce or become even worse. But you got that same mosquito bite, and you go do what? You put something on it to heal it, and then what does it do? It starts to heal and go away. But that's where I'm at. Judy, no, you are all right. But it's not gone. That's where I'm at. It's not gone. But you've managed how to take care of it.
Right.
And because you've managed it, now you go on. But if you keep driving yourself crazy, it not only produces one spot, but it also starts to do what? Spread it. Think about it. Now it's spread because, boy, you call yourself, I'm going to get that mosquito. That mosquito shouldn't have did me, but I got to get rid of this. Woo! This is killing me. And in return, that mosquito that bit you, that left his finger, I think they died, don't they, once they leave his finger?
That's a bee.
Okay, so the mosquito then flies off into the sunset. He flies off in the sunset. He laughing at you because he's looking at you down there, rubbing, scratching, and doing everything on it. And he says, "My back, I'll be back because I got some more partners." Okay, but yes.
I think I read someplace that it's only the females mosquito that bites.
Oh, it is. Now the problem is, how do you detect a female from a male?
Right.
That's the only problem. Guys, let's do this. You do me this honor, and that is from 10 on, start to read, because my time has expired. But you do this, go back and look at this, and so that you'll have this, and we will discuss now what's really going on with the text. But I'm trying to bring it to your attention. He's mentioned the wife and how she's mistreated the husband, and yet at the same time he's telling her, learn how to submit. Learn how to dress. Learn how to quit making it about you. That's adorning. It's about you. Quit making it about you, because you do have a spouse. Oh, and spouse, husband. If you treat her a little bit better, then watch this. Treat her with some, all the above that were mentioned. Guess what? It would make your relationship a lot better, because it would all fall under the harmonious. It would all fall under where you are now in sympathy. It would all fall up under where you now have this brotherly love. It would all now fall up under where you would learn to have a kind heart and a humble spirit. If you follow these instructions, if you follow these instructions, things will get better. But as long as you are into you, you recognize the environment that you're in, and the environment that you're in you don't like. The environment that you're in, you had to flee your man who just went out the window, because you running for your life. When you need to learn how to do what James has said, and what, believe it or not, he has said too, it's only for a little while. It's just for a little while. Hang in there. It's only for a little while. It's going to get better. Rejoice. Stop looking and woe at you, but rejoice. It's only to build better character in you. You'll learn how to appreciate God more so than you've ever. You'll learn how to appreciate your spouse more so than ever. If you quit looking at what you see as so negative and start to see it on a positive light. Are there any questions?